Oncers, thanks for checking out EskimoTV. I'm your host, Jason Escamilla.
And I'm your co-host, Chelsea McDonald.
And today we're going to be talking about Once Upon a Time, Season 7, Episode 3, The Garden of Forking Paths.
Such a weird name.
Yeah, it was a weird name for a title, but nonetheless, this episode has been my favorite of the season so far.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen that there have been a lot of parallels with the first season.
A lot of parallels.
A lot of parallels. One of them being the parallel between Regina and Snow White and Lady Tremaine in Cinderella. Now, as we all know, Snow White was the reason why Regina's love Daniel died.
Yeah.
And that's why Regina wants revenge on Snow White. Now, in this season, we have Lady Tremaine wanting to get revenge on Cinderella because of what happened to her daughter Anastasia. Now, we don't know what happened to her daughter Anastasia as to why she died. So that's one of the big questions there as to, for one, how did Anastasia die? And two, what part did Cinderella have in the whole scheme of the thing?
Yeah, definitely big mystery that has me wondering as well. And like you said, there are lots of parallels between this season and season 1. We even have this particular episode where Lucy goes into the underground hole where Lady Tremaine is building the condos. This episode reminded me of season 1, episode 5, That Still Small Voice, where Henry goes into the mines and gets trapped with Archie, his therapist, and Emma has to go down to save them. And we see at the end of that episode, Regina pockets a piece of Snow White's glass coffin. And in this episode, we see that there is a piece of Cinderella's glass slipper down in this underground hole. And it kind of has the same build-up where Emma doesn't believe Henry that, there's something down in the mines, and Henry doesn't believe Lucy.
You see the parallels with it, and you're like, oh, I remember this. This is why I was watching in the first place.
Yeah, so lots of parallels going on. And one of my favorite things from this episode was the speech that Regina gives to Cinderella in the flashback. Regina is telling Cinderella that in order to overcome the evil stepmother, that she's going to first have to learn to forgive herself.
Oh yeah, I definitely would agree with that. Had it come from anyone else in the Enchanted Realm, I don't think it would have been as impactful as it was. But knowing Regina's story, and we've all been through it with her, it has like such a profound message on all of us.
Yeah, we've seen her character grow these past 6 seasons, and so seeing her say that to Cinderella was very impactful for us to see.
Me personally, I think my favorite part of the entire episode was at the very end when Lady Tremaine is going up that elevator to the tower, and then we see that lady who is shackled to a wall. And my first thought was, okay, who is this? And when I didn't immediately recognize her, that's when it was like, okay.
Crazy looking lady.
Yeah, crazy eyes for days with that. Questions just everywhere of who is she? And I hate mysteries, so I want to know who this lady is.
Yeah,
this is driving me nuts.
Yeah, it's a beautiful mystery, and I want to know who she is too. In fact, we weren't sure if we were supposed to know who this lady was at this point. We were like searching online who this is, but this is in fact someone that we're not supposed to know their identity at this point. That ending scene was definitely my favorite part of the episode as well. And overall, just this episode got us to ask lots of questions. And I think that any good show like this, it's going to present itself as a suspense type show, is going to get us to ask questions. And one of the questions that I'm wondering is, why is Lady Tremaine in the flashback scenes such a threat? We see that she has magic now, and that there is an alliance composed of Henry, Regina, and New Hook, and Cinderella kind of forming to overthrow Tremaine, who I'm loving, by the way, as a villain this season.
Her.
She is awesome, and I'm hoping that once again that this isn't another mini villain that gets defeated by December. I'm hoping that Tremaine has a story that we can come to know for the upcoming seasons.
Right, I agree with. I agree with you. Some of the questions that I've actually asked are based in like the real world. Like when Henry finds the cemetery, like what is the deal with that? Like in the first episode of the season, we find that he goes to where he thinks the cemetery is, but it doesn't there. It's not there. It doesn't exist. So why now is he finding a cemetery?
Yeah.
And also the names on the headstones, Abigail and Lauren, those are nothing like Lucy and Jacinda. So are those the curse names? Do they have something to do with other people? What is that role with those names? What role do they have in the plot of the story overall?
This episode did get us to ask a lot of questions, and that's what I really liked. There were, however, just a lot of moments borrowed from season 1, and there were a few scenes with Hook, Rumple, that didn't really lead anywhere in this episode.
Right.
We're going to give this episode of Once Upon a Time an A-. If you enjoyed this review, like this video and subscribe to EskimoTV, where you can definitely look forward to weekly, icy and chilly Once Upon a Time reviews.
And we will see you guys next week.